Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Hey, there's been a lot of conversations about trying to get our disability compensation into a higher amount. Now, there's obviously different ways to do that. There would be just a overhaul of the entire system, raising the amounts for each one of the percentages, right? So 10, 20, 30, whatever would equal different amounts. And if you have, relatives and so forth, all that good stuff, you're taking care of a family member, mother, father, you have a spouse, you have dependents, those types of things. Maybe those get upticked. There could be conversations about changing how the rating schedule works. There could be also conversations with regard to COLA adjustments, meaning that those COLA adjustments could be utilized a different way, coming up with a different figure, a higher figure, specifically for veterans. However, the Social Security Administration also has some pushing going on with regard to COLA adjustments from the Senior Citizens League. So you would have that kind of, probably that would happen at the same time if we push for higher COLAs. Now, I want to jump into this a little bit because there's an interesting article that I have here that I want to share with you that kind of highlights the reasons, or at least a reason, why our disability compensation should be higher than what it is. And, I'm going to throw out there, I'm not sure if it should be higher for everyone or if it should be higher for certain percentages. Let's just throw it out there. 50% disabled from the VA and up get something higher based on this article, or if it's less. So in any case, I want to read it to you. The overarching idea here is that we as a veteran community, the veteran sphere, need to think about arguments, because just saying we should have more money doesn't count, right? Nobody cares. There has to be some tangible reasons behind it. And I think that this article might start to open up the mind a little bit, so that way when you do send a message to your congressional leaders, your elected officials, whether it's your House or your Senate, you can have something to kind of share with the staff there that they could then kind of dissect a little bit potentially. Now remember, there's also been, over the course of the years, and including this this current cycle, it's almost over now, but there has been the introduction of some legislation bills on each side, House and Senate, for a call to increase COLA by utilizing the CPIE to determine the figures versus the CPIW. Now, the CPIE is a calculation that utilizes the spending habits of the elderly, which is more in line with disabled and obviously elderly spending habits, which would, in this case, warrant a higher COLA. So hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. If you're not a member, consider joining. It helps to support the channel and it helps me to find you in the comments. All right, let's jump into it. The headline here on military.com: caregivers of veterans spend $11,500 on average each year on expenses, new data shows. So although this is about caregivers, veterans with caregivers, could be your spouse, right? It still has this kind of general veteran spending for ailments kind of vibe. So let's jump back into it. Veterans and military caregivers spend on average $11,500 of personal income each year on out-of-pocket expenses related to supporting their loved ones, 150% more than other family caregivers in the U.S., according to new data from AARP and the National Alliance for Caregiving. More than 6.5 million veterans and military caregivers provide $14 billion in unpaid labor caring for their service members each year, even as the Department of Veterans Affairs extensive services for caregivers. Even as the Department of Veterans Affairs offers extensive services for caregivers. So, very interesting article. It's very short, but it is something that we need to think about and be prepared to speak to in a way, right? You don't need to verbally speak it, but you could state that 150% more than other caregivers. You could speak to $11,500 of personal income on out-of-pocket expenses, and you could speak to the fact that this was data provided by AARP and the National Alliance for Caregiving, and that something needs to happen, right? Either A, the VA needs to step up more, or the costs paid out, or the pay for compensation for whatever the threshold is, right, needs to be higher to help compensate for these rising costs, right? So with that, I just wanted to share that with you real quick. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.